Here in lesson 41, we're going to look at unit multipliers and conversions. We've had anything divided by itself is 1. X squared over x squared equals 1. 2 over 2 equals 1, so on and so forth for all those. Let's talk about units though. Units refers to inches, feet, miles, things like that. If you have 12 inches over 1 foot, well, that would actually be the same as saying 1. Or you could actually even flip it. And this is where it can be confusing. But if you have 1 foot over 12 inches, you may think 1/12. Yes, but it would equal one whole unit. We're talking about the unit here. If you had 60 seconds, you could say 60 seconds in 1 hour. And that would equal 1, or you could say 1 hour over 60 seconds. That can be confusing, but all those units, they're similar. Okay, these and their reciprocals are the same value. We can multiply any expression by either of these terms without changing the value. So we call these unit multipliers. And so when we're changing, like in example 41.1, when we're changing inches to feet here, we're given 600 inches. So how we do these problems is I like to write 600 inches, and usually it helps people to see it over 1. And now we have to multiply by something, some sort of unit, in order to convert inches to feet. We got to get inches to feet. So we have to know our units, but for example, we know 12 inches we can write 12 inches over 1 foot, or we can write 1 foot over 12 inches. We know that we can write those. So which one could we plug in here to be able to cancel the inches? Well, if we did 12 inches over 1 foot, we would actually get 600 times 12 inches squared. The inches would multiply, and that would be over a foot. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for it to be converted to feet. So what we would do is write it 1 foot over 12 inches. Now notice that these are on top and bottom, so it's basically inches over inches, so they can cross out. And we would be left with 600 feet over 12, and you could divide the 12. And so 600 divided by 12, if you simplified that, would be 50. So we could say 50 feet. So 600 inches would be converted to 50 feet. And that's a basic unit multiplier. Let's look at another one. Gives us 44 square feet to inches squared, or square inches. So we got to convert this. So what we always do is we start by writing the initial unit that we're trying to convert or change. So we write 44. I'm going to need a little more room over here. 44 square feet can be written like so, feet squared, and we have to convert it to inches squared. Put it over 1. So what can we multiply? Just like the last one, once again, we know 12 inches over 1 foot, or 1 foot over 12 inches. This would have what we're looking for and what we're trying to convert. So we write, obviously, the feet has to be on bottom, so 12 inches over 1 foot. That's what we did on the last one. The difference in this one is we are talking about feet squared. So what that is the same as saying is 44 feet times feet. That's the same thing. 44 feet times feet is 44 feet squared. So right now here, we would actually only be canceling out 1 foot. or one of the feet squared. So we have to do it twice. We have to do times 12 inches over 1 foot again. And then we can actually cancel out feet squared and feet squared. And so then we would be left with our answer of 44 times 12 times 12 inches squared. Now let me just show you the different ways we can write our answer. We can write it this way. That's totally fine. You could simplify the 44 times 12 squared inches squared. That would work. Or you could solve it and figure out your answer of 44 times 12 times 12 and get 6,336 inches squared. However, you do not have to do that. This is totally acceptable and something that that's probably how I would write it. Let's make it happier. There we go. I would probably write it that way. That's easier. One of those two is what I would do. So let's look at one more. Notice feet squared. So now we got a couple different measurements, miles to inches, and we're talking about cubic. So cubic means 3, so we would write 16 miles cubed. Write that over 1, and we got to convert it. Well, do you know how many inches are in a mile? Neither do I. So, however, I do know that there are 5,280 feet in 1 mile, or vice versa. You could say 1 mile. So you do have to know your measurements. All right, been looking at those for a while. You do have to know your measurements. And now we're going to figure out how we can get miles cubed on bottom. Okay. Well, that would clearly be this one. We got miles cubed. We would have miles on bottom and 5,280 on top. Now I'm going to show you the shortcut way that I do. If I write 1 mile cubed on bottom, I have to cube the 5,280, and I would have to cube the feet, like so. So if you cube one, you have to cube them all. Or you could write it this way. I'll just show you. But you see how it's, you know, a little bit extra work. And I'm all for a good shortcut. So you could do that way to get 1, 2, 3 miles to cancel with those 3. If that helps if that helps you see it better and helps you make sure that you make no mistakes, do that way. But otherwise, you could do this shortcut of a way, which I already showed the longer way last one, so I'm going to show the shortcut. So now we're at feet cubed for our measurement. How do we get from feet to inches? Do we know how many inches are in a foot? Yes, we do. We're going to put 12 inches, and we're going to cube them. And we're going to put feet cubed on bottom. So now these cross out. And like I said, you can write your answer simplified. So you could say 16 times 5,280 cubed, make sure you remember that, times 12 cubed, inches cubed for your answer. And you can leave it like that, because if you multiply all that, that's going to be a very large number, and we're going to pass on that one. But that's how you do unit multipliers, and that is all there is to lesson 41.